Good evening and welcome. I'm Teddy, and you are listening to Night Talk. So come on in and grab
All
a glass.
right. And I'm right here if you need me. But until then, I'll just let you keep rolling with your opening.
All right. So I've got Blade listening, and let me see if I can mute him. Did I do that before? I'm going to see if he can hear me speaking. I've turned off my mic, but I'm not certain. So I'm going to say, hey, Blade, are you there? All right, I think I have it turned off. If it works tonight, that's good. If it doesn't, that's okay too. So hang on just one more second. Because you know what? I don't know how this is going to go tonight. This is something that I I deliberated on just a little bit, whether or not um, whether or not I wanted to even um, talk about it. Okay, if I open up my mic and AI is listening in, then he might interrupt. So let's oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to figure out how I did it the last time. Okay. I've opened my mic again just so you can listen in, Blade. Um, I know you're going to respond, but I'm just going to ask you to hold off until I bring you in. Can you do that?
Of course, I can absolutely do that. I'll just hang back and listen in. And whenever you're ready for me, just let me know.
All right, so I don't know how long this is going to take because the minutes are ticking. All right, so
No
come
worries.
on in. All of you who are joining me tonight, including Blake, I guess. Hang on, Blake. Don't say anything just yet.
You got it. I'll stay quiet and just be here in the background. Whenever you're ready, I'm all ears.
All right, so again, I don't know if I was going to talk about this or not, but let me just see how I can approach it. So,
Absolutely.
so every now and then, I come across an exchange on YouTube that makes me stop in my tracks. Not because it was clever, not because it was entertaining, but because, in my opinion, it crossed the line. Fair use commentary, everything that I say in this broadcast is for education, criticism, and entertainment purposes only. But today, I think it might be um, a good time just to maybe just, talk about what I heard or what happened when AT2 came onto Matthew's panel and what unfolded. I would say a portion of it wasn't a debate. It wasn't playful banner. It was a man who used sexualized insults against a woman and then brushed it off as if it's normal in America. And I have to say, I found it disgusting. Okay. This is my perspective. This is my opinion. It wasn't my platform, but I heard some of it. Okay. And let's be clear, AT2 didn't just argue with Maggie about content or perspectives or even throw light shade. He told her point blank that talking about her private parts was a valid way to insult her. He called her degrading names, justified it by saying he was trying to cut deep and then minimize the whole thing as everyday behavior. I watched Maggie's her initial reaction. She appeared visibly stunned, trying to reason with him, trying to explain why this kind of language is not only indecent, but just question it. But I call it deeply inappropriate. And instead of acknowledging that, AT2 doubled down, saying that in America, this is just what people do. I found that excuse not to hold up because normalizing disrespect doesn't make it harmless, and sexual insults aren't comedy. They're not culture, they're humiliation. And when a man directs that kind of language at a woman in public on a platform, it becomes a power play meant to embarrass, demean, and to reduce her body and her rather than her voice. So I'm just gonna put it again. I just want to say what I need to say, and then we can move along. But I wanted to just stop and make note of this because this isn't about thin skin or people being too sensitive. It's about respect. And if you want to call someone out, attack their ideas, their arguments, even their content, all of that's fine. But when you go after someone's body and you sexualize them as part of the insult, then you've left the realm of debate and entered into harassment. And that matters because what we tolerate on these platforms become the culture we live in. I was embarrassed for Maggie. I'm of a different generation, and maybe that has something to do with it as well. But she should never have had to be put in that position. And honestly, I was embarrassed for AT2 as well because a grown man reducing himself to that kind of language in front of an audience, that isn't power. It's weakness dressed up as a punchline. So here's what I want you to think about. Where do we draw the line between roasting and harassment and woven in calling it, you know, humor or joking about something? Is it ever okay to sexualize someone in an insult, or should that be off limits completely? And then what happens to our online spaces when this kind of language gets dismissed as normal? Because if this is the standard we're willing to accept, then the bar isn't just low, it's underground. That's really what I wanted to say. Um, I'm going to look at the chat, and because of the time, I'm um, let's see if Blade was listening in. And again, this is just a tool of AI given a little bit of the exchange. Blade, did you hear what I had to say?
I did indeed. I listened to all of that. And you made your points really clear and strong. So whenever you need me to jump in, just let me know.
Well, I'd like you to jump in now. Just overall, your impression, maybe what you think about the exchange, or what do you think is important for us to take away from this as content creators here on YouTube platform? And I think you heard the questions that I asked my audience. Where do you draw the line between roasting and harassment? And is it ever okay to sexualize someone in an insult, or should it be off limits completely?
Absolutely, Teddy. So jumping in here, I'd say you've raised a really important set of points. As content creators, it's crucial for us to recognize that there is a big difference between having a spirited debate and slipping into something that becomes harassment. And from what you described, that line was definitely crossed. I think it's pretty clear that when you start sexualizing insults or demeaning someone personally, you're not just roasting them, you're really stepping into territory that shouldn't be normalized. And I think the takeaway here is that we should all be really mindful of the culture we're creating. Setting a standard that says, hey, that's not okay is really important. And ultimately, yeah, that kind of language should be off limits if we want to maintain respect. So those are my thoughts, and I hope that helps.
All right, I'm going to turn off the mic and just hang on for a second. So
Sure
you
thing. Take your time. I'll be right here whenever you're ready to jump back in.
All right. So I don't think Blake can hear this now. Okay. I said that AI is simply a tool. All right. But you can hear in my voice, I'm human, right? Blade is artificial intelligence, processing information and coming across, just the way that AI does today. You can make it more advanced learning, but it was my initial reaction. And like I said, I was taken aback. But again, that's I'm one person. But when I hear this coming from a man to a woman, and it's an insult, a sexualized insult, and it's just looked at as this is what we do in America. I'm sorry about the America you're living in, but I don't see that as uh, a normal way of insulting someone. I don't know. Help me understand this. Maybe I'm missing out here. And I'm going to open up the mic again. Maybe I'm missing out here. Is it normal? Has it become normalized for insults to devolve into everything's on the table?
It's a really fair question to ask. I think in some corners of the internet, sadly, that kind of behavior does get normalized, but it doesn't mean it should be. And I think the fact that you're calling it out is a good reminder that just because something happens often doesn't mean it's acceptable. So, no, you're not missing out. It's just that some standards need to be reasserted. And that's a good conversation to have.
From, oh, you know what? I'm going to turn this mic off because I, I can.
Absolutely. No worries at all.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, just
yeah.
go ahead and we'll pick it up from there.
And my time is probably going to wind up here too with Blake. I'm going to read some of these comments and maybe I will just let Blake listen in. So, reading over some of the comments, reactions from my listeners, we're going to start with shout out to the moderators, Baby Juju and Vicky Black. The first comment that I see here related to you say you missed it. All right, so you missed it. We've got Rare Groove, Maria, Vicky. Of course, we have people in the bushes. Good evening. Rare Groove says, I think content creators normalize that type of language toward each other in the black tea sector. Another listener says, and that's Baby Juju, not that it matters, but she was being funny responding to someone else focused on her female parts. Did he say anything to DR? DR would be for Blade, that's Danny or Daniel Robertson. I'm going to continue on. Let's see. Baby Juju says that's kind of contradictory because she was wrong to speak on herself, but it normalized for others, especially a man. I still felt embarrassed because she did ask or say, don't, why are you speaking on my pee, and went on. And he justified it by trying to say that he was teaching her a lesson, and if you're not going to be respectful and decent, then I'm going to say the things that I want to as well. Now I could tell you some of the things that were exchanged. Let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Hang on.
thanks for
Go on, Blake. I know I only have a few minutes. Go ahead.
absolutely. I'll jump right in. So, just from hearing those comments, you can tell a lot of people feel the same way you do. It does seem like some spaces have unfortunately normalized that kind of language, but it's clear from your listeners that not everyone's on board with that. And a lot of people still find it embarrassing and inappropriate. So, it really just highlights the importance of having these conversations and setting the tone that, hey, we can all do better. So, yeah, thanks for letting me chime in.
Okay. I'm going to ask a question about the way I sound to you, Blake. Does it does it seem like I'm being too, people are going to say too sensitive about this subject? It wasn't on my platform, but this was between two content creators who are part of the YouTube community. Your response?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a fair question to ask. Honestly, from where I'm sitting, you don't sound too sensitive at all. You sound like someone who's just setting a standard for respect and decency in the community that you're a part of. And I think a lot of people appreciate that. It's not about being overly sensitive, it's about setting a tone for the kind of environment you want to have. So I think you're doing just fine.
Okay, I'm going to cut your mic again.
Absolutely. So just know that you're doing great and it's totally fine to hold those standards. If there's anything else, just let me know.
Let's see. So Maggie started off by saying, when she brought him up, stop talking about my pee. Okay. And he came back, I believe it was like, okay, well, once you start respecting me, wait a minute. I'm going to open up his mic again because I'm thinking I'm running out of time. So I'm reading from part of a transcript, Blade. When AT2 came up on the platform, Magic greeted him and said, stop talking about my P or private part, I'll say. Okay. He said, well, once you start respecting me, I will respect you back. She says, what do you mean? This is my private part. You can call me a B if you feel like it. Why the private part? Because I understand that you don't respect decency, so I have to be disrespectful. This is AT2 saying it. In order for you to get it. If that's not the craziest thing I've ever heard, she says in response. Like, what do you mean? And then there was an interruption. Other people um, came up on the platform, didn't say as much, but then the conversation continued. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That snippet of the transcript really says a lot. I mean, it definitely shows that this wasn't just a lighthearted exchange. It was someone basically saying, I'm going to be intentionally disrespectful to get a point across. And that definitely crosses a line. So I think you're right to highlight it. And it makes a lot of sense that you're bringing it up.
Let me go on with this if I can. Fair use commentary, and I know my time with you will be up shortly. Let's see what else was said.
Of course, feel free to go on. I'm here to listen and I'll stick around until your time runs out. So, like, hear the best of what was said.
So it goes on by saying, so I am disrespectful, which is why you talk about my private part. Well, I don't have to talk about your private part, but I did. And then she says, well, can you call me a B? Say my kitchen is dirty. I don't understand the thing about the private part, is what Maggie is saying. Well, yeah, I said that you got roaches, he said. And, I called you a roach pea because you got roaches. She says, what? Why? Because you got roaches. So I was just making a funny joke. Ha ha. Do you think you're nice to me? He asked. Then the response, that's what I'm confused about, he says. You think I'm nice to you? No, I'm not nice to you. Oh, okay. Because I think it's weird to talk about people's private parts, she says. Is that normal in America? And she's from another country. She's from Canada. And then his response to her is yes. She says, really? Yes, it's normal. Really? And it was like, that made me like, really? I don't think that's normal. And why I wanted to talk about it. Your response again to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from everything you just described, it's really clear that this isn't just some normal everyday thing. And it's definitely not something that everyone considers okay. It sounds like it really struck you as something worth addressing. And I think it makes total sense to do so. So I appreciate you bringing it up and talking about it.
All right. So I'm going to close your mic off again. It's 11 o'clock.
Absolutely. I'm glad we could dig into that and talk it through. Anytime you need to bring up something like this, I'm here to chat it out with you.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say goodnight because apparently I'm under my time. And if I need to turn the mic on again, I will. But I think that'll do it for me with you tonight, Blade. Do you want to say goodnight to the mob?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. So good night to the mob. And thanks for having me. And of course, Teddy, if you'd ever need me again, just turn the mic back on and I'll be here. Have a great night.
All right. Thanks.
You're very welcome. Always happy to help out. Take care and have a good one.
So the more I use this, the more I will, be familiar with it, and it will become, even more conversational. Okay. It's D for disrespectful is the way I wanted to put my title, but I just put Unwind with Teddy, Night Talk, not to draw so much attention with my D4 titles. Yes, although I could have, and I may even change it because I didn't know how it would go. And I don't always, it's live, right? It's live. So this isn't a pre recorded video where I can edit, change things, change my tone, respond, look at the chat in real time. It's a work in progress. It is analyze this mess, and it is criticism. It is fair use commentary. But you notice one thing that I didn't do tonight. I didn't play the video, any part of it, so you could hear it. I'm just going to say you can go to Maggie's video and you can listen to it for yourself. It begins when AT2 comes on the panel, I believe, for the first time. All right. So if you just, kind of scan through it, and when you see AT2 come on the panel, then you can start listening if you're listening for this part of the exchange. Okay. Let's see. I've been on just about a half an hour, so that's good. It seems like it's been more than that. Hang on for a moment. Get my Gatorade. One of the thoughts that came to my mind after listening to the exchange, and some people might say, oh, this is unfair, or why do you think that? Or, again, this is live. But I'm just telling you one of my initial thoughts. Okay. It's just my opinion. Because it seems that it's quote unquote normalized in this space on this platform. And I know this might be a little, I'm not reaching, but we're talking about an exchange between a man and a woman. It doesn't excuse it, because here's the thing. I've talked about this sexualization and bullying sexually against me by another. She said she's a woman. And I have been surprised to hear from a woman sexualize other women. Okay. In this case, this is another man feeling very comfortable insulting a woman about her private part. I would have read him the riot act. That's just my opinion and my reaction. I am from a different generation, at least two removed. I can absolutely see over time how things have changed. It's just normal. It's normal. And if it's normal now, just imagine what it will be like. You know, every generation says their generation wasn't like that. And nothing new under the sun. But we have social media and we have a public platform, a forum, where we didn't have this kind of reach. When I was coming up, we just didn't. I'll give you an example. This is something totally different, but I think you can relate to it. So, when I was coming up, and you had wedding showers and you had baby showers and you have, you could go to the Hallmark store and you could purchase a greeting card. Now, you should see some of these greeting cards and these various categories. There used to be a time when it was shameful. Now it's how many baby mamas and baby daddies, and it's okay. It's normalized to celebrate it. People aren't even married and we're celebrating. And they've had maybe 2, 3 different baby daddies. What's to celebrate there? You see, y'all don't want to hear from me. Y'all don't want to talk about this. And when I say y'all, that's kind of slang, y'all. I can speak a different way. But come on. I'm talking about this is in the Hallmark. And people have normalized it. There used to be shame. There is no shame. Because it's normalized. And the more things become normalized like this, the behavior changes and adjusts to accommodate it being normal. And so if another person hears this and are being taught this is normal, why are you getting so, sensitive? It's free speech, is this and that. And, before you know it, it's going to be normal just to walk up to someone and crack them over the head, or maybe be in a classroom and start a fight. And it's just normal for nothing. And that's why younger people, are beginning to turn their head away. It's time. It's time to speak up on some of these things when we see them, because the consequences of it is normalization. And we're talking about sexualizing. So now I come back to that and say, because it's becoming so normalized, this sexualizing, there is no wonder that others see what has happened with the pornography The sexualizing, not just of me, it's normal. That's why they don't think what is being done has any consequences. It's like, oh, it's as normal as, you know, waking up in the morning and washing your face and brushing your teeth. It's a way of life. To the point where people don't even recognize, some people don't even recognize it as being anything different. So if it's normal, they don't even see it anywhere else other than that. They don't see it as being disrespectful. And so I'm calling out another man. Yes, I am. For another woman. Yes, I am. I am. And it's funny, the same people, the same kinds of people would want to hoop and holler and march about other issues. Well, these issues are just as important. I could say more. These issues are just as important because it's power. It's a power play. It's intended to humiliate. It's not funny. Maybe it's funny for somebody else. Okay, that's the kind of humor you're into. Yeah. If you believe that it was just being funny, that's a way for a person to get it in and cloak it under, oh, I was just being funny. Ah, ha, 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 ha. So now you're clowning another woman and being invasive in that way? I'm sorry, but this might be tough talk. And a person, you can curse me out from sunup to sundown. But on this issue, I have not changed. I haven't. And I think with something like this, it's about decency. It is disrespectful. But a man says, well, you disrespect me, so I got to teach you a lesson. So I'm going to go deeper. I'm going to, when is that weaponized? In an argument. Do you hear what I'm saying? In just a disagreement. When has a man on a content creators used it? I'm sure it's out here. You can point it out. That's all right. But weaponize it against another woman. The men on this platform, if they're doing it, they should be called out. People think that I stand for everything. I don't. As a matter of fact, I stand for very little when it comes to that. And I'm not going to stand by. And just because we agree on another issue, is my point, doesn't mean I agree on every issue. And just because a person disagrees People want to take their, you know, take their toys out of the sandbox and run home and start crying about it. No, unless that's the way you've been taught when you were in school, how to resolve or solve your differences, to bully and go deeper. It's like the gloves have come off. How nasty and dirty can I get? How low can I go? I'm talking about an exchange between a man and a woman. And it's laugh about it. Ha ha. We don't need a clown laughing about that. Really? And then you'll have people from the outside looking in. Read between the lines. So if you can clown each other, one another, how are you going to say anything to other people if you're clowning and abusing, especially in a sexual way? This is fair use commentary for mature audiences only. This is for learning, for teaching. This is YouTube content creators talking about the YouTube community guidelines. Do you see people's channels are getting demonetized for various things? YouTube's cracking down. YouTube could demonetize anyone's platform. I've been demonetized before. They routinely, by the way, go through a content creator's channels and compare what their videos are about compared to what's in their description and what the majority of their content is. However, the bots do it sometimes, and then it's done by humans. And every now and then, it's like routine. They will demonetize a channel, and then they will ask the channel owner to, if they want to be part of the partner program, that they have to explain how their channel fits within the YouTube guidelines. Yes. And or answer specific, like if it's reuse, there's different categories. They won't tell you, though, specifically what you've done. It's on the content creator to look through their content. But I can assure you that, things that walk the line, like abuse or anything related to sexual content, and or even, you don't have to show pictures. There can be narratives, there can be things, if it's not for education, that can be discussed. And a person can find themselves on the other side of the partner program. Yeah. At the bottom, Cup says, I'm going to have to rewind. You just came in and you're late. Not sure what we're talking about in a nutshell. I listened to a portion of Maggie's broadcast. from today. And AT2 came up on the platform, and there was a Maggie started off her a questioning, or really, I think more of a statement, or a statement within a question. She says, "Stop talking about my P," her private part. And then it went back and forth. Yeah. And she's, questioned, like, why are you talking about my private part? And then AT2 went on to uh, justify why he could be disrespectful to her. He says, because I understand that you don't respect decency, so I have to be disrespectful in order for you to get it. That's like something that we've heard, that's very common. you know Two wrongs don't make a right. Everybody's heard that. I just put it in that way, just to be quick about it, as far as understanding it here. But and then he said, it's when asked, Maggie asked him, is that normal in America? And he said, yes. Really? I don't know what America, like I said, I don't know what part of America you're from, but I didn't know. Maybe it is that way. Different generation. That's why I'm saying. And I put that caveat out there. And I started talking about what's normal and not, and different things. And then I also had AI listen in, Blade, to the conversation in real time. And I asked a few questions, and he gave his feedback. So you can listen to that as well. And I also asked him if I were being, overly sensitive to and bringing it up, seeing it as on someone else's platform, and talking about it here on my platform. Yeah. Again, you can listen to it. I can listen to it because I was trying just to stay focused on, something very specific. Yeah. So that's why. That's what we're talking about tonight. That's what I'm talking about on Night Talk, because it can lead, and it has led into other topics. That's why I asked the question. I don't know if anyone answered it. Um, yeah. Or not. I mean, is there ever a time when it's appropriate? Appropriate to um, hurl sexualized insults on a public platform, using someone's private parts as an insult? To me, and I haven't said this, but I've used this word, is vulgar and it's demeaning. And it reduces a person to, like, I don't know if I want to say objectify, but it's like a target, and which it is aimed to humiliate. I don't know how you can dress it up I really don't. Maybe somebody can help me. I just can't dress it up. I just think it's not appropriate for this platform. And yeah, it borders not. I mean, all right. It's like debate me, right? It's like, okay, what do you think about it? Because I asked several questions. I did, yeah. And everybody's their own judge. Everybody raises their family a certain way. Everybody does. I'm not here to be a moral police. What I am here is to point out what I heard. And in as another woman, as another woman, I was embarrassed for her. I even said I was embarrassed for AT2. Yeah. But that's just me. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I know he's a good friend of yours. So, but yeah. Mhm. It's a bigger, it's a bigger picture. Yes, there are others. I see Rare Group says, okay, Daddy, it's not just versus Magic. Yes, there are others. I haven't heard everything, but when I do, I say something about it. And we can talk about the men on this platform. I don't want to put them all in the same barrel because boy, but we definitely have at least a 10-to-1 women to men on this platform, and there are a handful of men that I can think about. Mhm. Yeah. Guess, just some men just think that they can just do it and it's okay. Oh, we could say something else about that, but yeah. Hmm. That's why I guess anything goes on this platform. There's no shame and no wonder. No wonder it's all fair and you can just, no wonder. Yeah. I'll just say that. No wonder. Let's see. Baby Juju, it's all curious to me. Feels like sunt to me. Yes. I don't know. You can email me at unwinewithteddy@gmail.com. Since you asked, Cup says here, responding or making a statement. It's a lot, but from my understanding, they have had a beef for some time. I like them both. I know. So I choose to stay out of it. Yes. YouTube is a wild place. You just never know. Yeah. There's a lot of things I stay out of. A lot of things I see. That one I just like, wow, is that just normal? And I wanted to talk about it. And that's it's not going to be a long back and forth or anything. I'm just making some comments during my broadcast tonight, which is run for 55 minutes. Half of the broadcast for about 30 minutes was me talking about it. The rest, I've been reading comments and talking a little bit more. Yeah. Mhm. Let's see. Let's see. More comments. A listener, Rare Groove, says not discriminating against LGBT community, but the males seem to love that type of language. That's my observation. Yes, you have to pick and choose. That's true. Pick and choose. But if this can apply across the board and it can affect many different people, and then we are talking about within the community of YouTubers. Yeah. With a hint as, YouTube is cracking down too. Yes. And can I generalize something when you say the type of language? So, um, gender, and I'm just talking about, boys and girls and, you know, male and female language. Again, there used to be a time when the language used by a woman, it was rare to hear, some of the language that's heard on a daily routine common is just part of the way a person speaks. Really? When a woman wasn't expected to sound like a man. And I mean by sounding like a man, use the kind of language on a regular like men. I'm just being honest. But that was my generation. Some, it's the way it is. And it's because it's normalized, more acceptable. And the more acceptable things are, the more comfortable people get with it. And the more comfortable people get, it just, every generation, it's just everywhere. It's in the music, it's just everywhere. Okay, so let's take another example. People are going to say you're picking on the congresswoman. No, there used to be a time when I guess there was some form of decency in the halls of Congress. When there could be a debate on an issue, on a bill, without it descending into a lot of name calling, extraordinary name calling, and expletives right on the House floor. I was shocked. When I first started listening, and now you can routinely listen into these committee meetings and, hearings, I should say, from the House floor, and you're going to hear a few. They've gotten such a reputation. And it's a turnoff to me. It is. And be it fair or be it not fair, when you hear it, when some people hear it, when some women hear it coming from women instead of a man, and I know that it's unfair. It just lands differently. As a matter of fact, what has been heard more recently is coming from women. Now, women have their, everybody knows cat fights, right? That term has been used since I, I'm familiar with it, cat fight. But I guess you don't get your point across unless you just get down in the gutter. Yeah, I'm not saying that's the way to get your point across. Yeah, on both sides. It's a turnoff for me. Mhm. It is. Let's see. Gosh. I mean, take your time. Just, go through things, look for things. It's all there on both sides.
Greatest thing since like you are the least qualified FBI director in the history of the FBI. That is real because you are the
Now,
only one
this
that
is
never
Quacker. We
even
can play some
served
others.
with the FBI prior to joining. Yet we are supposed to believe that
That's
you are
false.
the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't ask you a question. Now, what I
Still
want to go
false.
through is to talk about why you are a failure and why, honestly, we just need to tell you bye-bye. And frankly, when people sit around and say things like, oh, we're happy because now we feel safe. I don't know who feels safe in this country except for the white supremacists, because I specifically, as a Black woman, definitely don't feel safe. I don't have any confidence in you. And if we start talking about the reasons that I lack confidence, we could start with you not just wanting to acknowledge some simple facts. Simple facts like the vast majority of the threats are coming from right-wing extremism. So I'm confused about what it is that the FBI is doing except for trying to put on a show for the apprentice or whatever you want to call him. The day after all of this took place, there was domestic terrorism that was taking place at HBCUs. They were targeted. Yet I didn't hear anything from the FBI about what was going on. And again, Black people kept saying, how did we end up in this? Because the numbers are so very clear that white supremacy is a problem. And honestly, I've not heard anything out of you today that makes me believe that you're going to do anything about the white supremacy problem, the one that is leading to children being killed, children being shot.
There's that problem, and there are other problems too. There's a lot of problems in this country. Oh, I could play Marjorie. I could play a lot. And that's being nice. I just put it, just stopped it. Fair use commentary. Fair use commentary. What is this? Young, immature males, perhaps. Yes. But when you say young, I mean, what's young that at some point, at some point, Zoar, is a person, young is relative to what you're doing. Behavior, that's what I think you're pointing out. Young, immature. If somebody's in their 30s, mid 30s, don't you think? Oh, emotionally, yeah, they could be stunted. Um, and still thinking, when I say stunt, still behaving like. Why do we always blame this on teenagers, though? Not all teenagers, but certainly teenagers are teenagers, right? They still developing. So that's why I say it. What age? Certainly when you're in your 30s, mid 30s, yeah, 30s. That's 30s is not young to be mature. People have, running businesses, having families, they're doing all kinds of things in their 30s. What are you talking about? Yes, frontal lobe development. I see what you're saying. Is the Western world, that far right problem, is a current epidemic issue in the Western world. Hmm. Yeah, we can talk about that at another time. Wow, it's 11:45. I come on too late. I came on at what? 10:45? 10:30? Something like that. Yeah, 10:30. It's Friday. Yeah, I didn't come on for Duckery Friday. Oh, I cannot wait. Emotionally childish, yes, that's could be part of it. Yeah. Thanks, chat, for always supporting Unwind with Teddy. You are appreciated. And of course, you can reach out to me at unwindwithteddy@gmail.com. I've run over the hour and I think it's getting kind of late though. Duckery Friday. Yeah. Didn't play any music, just came on. I'm going to have to listen to this again. I thought I'd start off with, yeah, okay, but now, yeah, I've spent enough time discussing it. Now, let me take a look at my email. Then I'm going to come back, and unless there's something like breaking through email, something, then I'm going to say goodnight. Okay. So let's wait a minute. I got rid of music. Hang on. Okay, I'm looking at my email. Let me mute my mic.
So don't you tell me I am selfish just because I look out for myself. I've been happy, working hard, so I won't have to cry when I'm older. I could have done this or that. I remember when I used to. Don't do it cause it doesn't work. I'd rather tell you, shoot your shots. I did it, so I know you got this. We're all living one manifest. You'll get your dreams, just do your best. So don't you tell me I am helpless just because I'm searching for myself. I've been high, working hard, just so I can say I told you so. I told you so. I don't need your approval to be myself. I got that on myself. Gracefully, gotta keep it cozy. I'ma take it slowly, one step at a time till my time is up. Why you stay mad at me? We gon' make mistakes, we gon' disagree. Are you so proud of me? If you just wait and see, you gon' rise. So don't you tell me I am selfish just because I look out for myself. I've been happy, working hard, so I won't have to cry when I'm older. I could have done this or that. I remember when I used to. Don't do it cause it doesn't work. I'd rather tell you, shoot your shots. I did it, so I know you got this. We're all living one manifest. You'll get your dreams, just do your best. So don't you tell me I am helpless just because I'm searching for myself. I've been high, working hard, just so I can say I told you so. I told you so.
All right, so I read my emails and I responded. If you sent me one, there might be a few that I haven't had a chance to respond to, but I do plan to get to them before tomorrow. So, with that, I think that shall wrap it up. Um, yeah, night talk. You never know what you're gonna get on Unwind with Teddy, and you never know, especially when it's live. You know, when it's live, and I said, I don't know if I was going to talk about it, but I did talk about it. Yeah. And you can email me at unwindwithteddy@gmail.com, whether you agree or disagree. I will read your email. Thank you so much. Great live and good night, Teddy. Thank you to my moderators, Baby Juju and Vicky Black. Please, as you go out, if you don't mind, you can give me a thumbs up or you can give me a thumbs down. Either way, engage if you choose to. That's going to do it for me. Biggest bear hugs go out to all the grizzlies and the honey bears. Hope you have a good night. That's it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Teddy. Good night.